Hello and welcome to Deep Blue Sea, the podcast. I am Mark Bump and Bite Hoffmeyer.
And I am Jay Cluett, and once again I forgot to do an intro. Goddamn. My apologies. I am Jay Awkward Desktop Wallpaper Cluett. There we go. And this week we're talking about Deep Blue Sea 3, Chapter 4. What happens in Deep Blue Sea 3, Chapter 4? Well, let me tell you. Starting exactly the same way as the previous chapter, but with one fewer divers, Dr. Richard Lowell, Lucas, Shill, and Earls go diving for sharks along with their seal gut-spewing drone. On the Triton, Mia and Emma notice that Great White Sally is steering clear of the drone, possibly scared of something else. While Spin traces Bella's tracker, Emma and Mia have some girl talk, as they call it, in which Emma tells Mia to go for it with Spin, and that Emma's good with fish, bad with people. Mia spots a bull shark on the Triton and warns the divers, but the bulls swim away, near to where Richard is in a cove outside of the Triton's visibility range. A bull heads towards Richard, who misses it with his tranquilizer. Emma manages to shoot it with her own tranq, but not before it bites Richard by the torso. The stunned shark sinks to the seabed with Richard in its mouth. Emma dives to the bottom and, with Lucas's help, frees Richard and takes him up to the surface safely. Richard tells Lucas to get the sedated bull onto the boat, while his wounds are tended to by Emma. Meanwhile, Bahari is out fishing and playing his guitar. Something catches his line, but he cannot reel it in, believing the hook to be stuck on something. To free it, Bahari dives into the water and follows the line down with a knife in his teeth. However, the line slackens. Bahari looks up, and a bull shark races at him, mouth agape. Bahari draws his knife to attack, and that's the end of the scene, and the last we see of Bahari intact. And joining us to talk about Deep Blue Sea 3, Chapter 4, we have from the This Ends at Prom, Harmony Colangelo. Harmony, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me. I am so excited to talk about this specific scene on top of everything else.
You were so thrilled when I said you had Chapter 4. What is it about Chapter 4 that piques your interest?
See, most of this chapter is a lot of, it's sort of like transitional to get us to like the next big set piece, but the scene that I love about this is honestly one of the only things that I really appreciate about Deep Blue Sea 2, which is sharks who are now flipping the script on humans. Because you have a shark going fishing for a person. And it's amazing. Which, like, Deep Blue Sea 2, I rewatched for the first time fairly recently, and I always forget, like, how good it starts when the sharks defin a man so he just sinks to the bottom.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. It's poetic irony. It's fantastic. It's almost like gothic Poe writing. And this movie is like, okay, this guy isn't clearly a villain, but the sharks don't care. They are one of the only animals that hold a grudge, and he's going to go fishing for a man.
Absolutely, yeah. We're told that they've been adapting to climate change. So they're just being aggressive towards everything, and that includes this guy. He's a thing. He's a thing. So he's gonna get
so good.
Now, Harmony, I heard you bought a blood drone because of this scene. Is that true?
Oh, yeah, of course. I just moved to L.A., and I'm right on the ocean, so why wouldn't I?
Yeah, so you just go out on the weekends and take your steel blood drone into the water?
Of course.
Nice.
Yeah. My goal is to be one of those people who's just riding around on one of the little fan-propellered underwater things with only my upper body, because the rest of me has been eaten. That's how I want to go out.
Nice. Now, when you load up your seal gut drone, do you wear gloves or use anything like a scoop to fill the seal guts into it, or do you just go barehanded like the guys do in this?
I mean, the ocean's a giant toilet. You might as well go hand in.
Fair enough.
Speaking of giant toilets,
where is this going?
I was researching bull sharks today, and just how far they can go inland and survive in freshwater, brackish water. Like they go up in the Amazon. Some were found in Illinois. I mean, these things can really get into freshwater areas. And they've been known to get into fracases with hippos. And what happens is hippos poop a lot in the water. So it makes it very muddy and poopy. And there's a lot of fish in that area that eat the hippo poop. This will draw bull sharks to that area to eat those fish. And sometimes there have been bull shark accidentally biting a large hippo moments. And they say that hippos are quite adept at just whomping on bull sharks, which makes sense because they're gigantic. But I just love the idea that hippos are just kind of pooping a lot. Fishes are eating that poop. Bull sharks are like free food, and then they bite a giant hippo. That's just something. That's a movie in itself. Like that's Shark Lake 2 starring Dolph Lundgren right here. He's a wait.
That's just the circle of life.
think about this. Dolph Lundgren, Shark Lake 2, he is a anti-poacher. Like he's I don't know, the world police force against poaching, which is the WPFAP member. He's in there, but there's hippos and people are trying to poach them. But then there's bull sharks too, eating the fish that are eating the hippo poop. And it's Dolph Lundgren against poachers. Put Megan Fox in there and it can be Rogue 2 as well, and add some lions. So then we have Dolph Lundgren, Megan Fox, angry lions, hippos, bull sharks, direct-to-DVD, beautiful. And Scott Adkins. I don't know how he fits in. He can play a poacher. That's it, right there. Movie.
Yeah, you don't really have to sell me on that movie more than that. I would watch it, especially because hippos are the most unwithable animal on the planet.
Yeah, they're definitely up there.
Oh, I love. Imagine this movie. This Dolph Lundgren. Okay, front kicking a bull shark. Just imagine that. Just throwing out his foot and womping a bull shark.
See, Dolph Lundgren front kicking a hippo is not going to go well for Dolph Lundgren.
No.
Oh no.
Oh gosh. See, that's why I don't want that to happen, because it would just make Lundgren look silly.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was Dwayne Johnson, the hippo would go flying 50 yards, and then he would get into an airplane and fly away. But Dolph Lundgren nowadays, no. Oh man,
Maybe in his prime.
Shark Lake 2, Rogue 2, Boyka. We'll just bring in the undisputed character from Scott Adkins. I'm just throwing together all my direct-to-DVD favorites and making a sequel. And I have another thought. While I was researching this movie, a light bulb turned on in my head, which happens very rarely. So when it does, I really want to embrace it. So, Harmony, where would you rank this in excellent direct-to-DVD horror sequels? Now, I know it's like an action horror, but it's still sharks murdering people, so I'm throwing it into the sci-fi horror thing. But where would you put this in regards to direct-to-DVD sequels? Is it Tremors 2 worthy? Is it Cult of Chucky-esque? Curse of Chucky-esque? Wrong Turn 2? Where would you place this in the pantheon of solid direct-to-DVD horror sequels? Or streaming. I'm old.
I don't know if you know this about me, but I have a graboid tattoo on my entire right calf.
Yes!
So I love the Tremors series more than any other movie series. And what I love about, low budget shark movies, direct to video shark movies, is that they have to figure out how to write a script on a budget and really be like, let's not write action scenes and set pieces that are too ambitious for us. I think Deep Blue Sea 2 had a big problem with that, especially with its set design. But Deep Blue Sea 3, this is top tier. Like, this is, I tell people all the time, like, yeah, okay, there's arguably only like 2 or 3 actually good shark movies, and then the rest of them are various levels of bad. However, I will watch all of them. Deep Blue Sea 3 is easily top 5. It's fantastic.
Yes.
Yes.
So I would add it alongside Curse and Cult of Chucky, Tremors 2 Aftershocks, because Fred Ward in Tremors 2 Aftershocks does such good work, and he does not get appreciated for his work in Tremors 2. I also love Wrong Turn 2. I think that's quite fun, just because it's bonkers. And there's one with snowmobiles where people get decapitated. 4, maybe 5, but now I wouldn't put that in top 5. But yeah, that's my core right there. Like, my top 4 would be Deep Blue Sea 3, Tremors 2, and then Curse and Cult of Chucky. What's in your top 5? I'm putting you on the spot.
I haven't even thought about it. Gosh, yeah, I know. You're really just really putting the pressure on me. The thing is, I grew up watching Sci-Fi Channel movies, and that meant something very different in the early 2000s versus like what people sort of associated with it, with like Sharknado. But it was
Bruce
a lot
Campbell,
of
right? We had Bruce Campbell in sci-fi cheap movies. Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
It was weird. One of my favorites is Abominable, which is basically just Rear Window, but with Bigfoot. That movie's incredible. I think so. I don't remember what the cast is because I'm not the best with names, but that movie is so much fun, and the Yeti effects are pretty tight, so like that's up there. Tremors 2 I just rewatched recently because I'm working my way through the entire series for something I have coming up, and oh my god, Tremors 2 is so much fun. It's just we start with a bunch of explosions. That's the kind of movie we're in for. Fred Ward's amazing. Obviously, Michael Gross carries that entire series past the first movie almost on his shoulders single-handedly. The later Chucky movies are great because the Chucky franchise is my favorite slasher, so that one's easily up there.
Are you more cult? Are you Curse or cult?
I like them both for different reasons. I think Curse is maybe better, but I like how Cult brings everything together from the past movies, because Don Mancini, he's like been in control of the Chucky franchise since the beginning, so he's not having to do any clumsy retconning of his own franchise like most, Hellraiser or Halloween or Friday the 13th. Yeah. So there's no continuity errors, so I really do appreciate those latter movies so much. So I don't know if I
rips
could
a gun
pick
out
one.
of Chucky.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're about tied for you?
Yeah, I'd say they're about tied because I like them both for very different reasons.
Got it. No, that's fair. They're total one's more of a kind of haunted mansion. The other one's a very sterile psychiatric area. It just features a great head motion. I'm all about those.
Oh, absolutely. Especially because I think asylums are one of the most interesting settings for horror because it's one of the most inhumane places that we have been in modern society. Because most of the things that they do is very Spanish Inquisition. Like it's straight up horrifying. Pennhurst, which was over in Pennsylvania, that it was a neighboring state to me growing up. Like there was legends about that, and that's what American Horror Story Asylum was based on, basically. Certainly on the latter part of that season, where it was just abandoned and overpopulated, and it's horrifying. So I love the idea of this setting. So that sells me on it immediately.
Does Session 9 take place in Pennhurst? Because I love that movie. Simon haunts my dreams.
I haven't actually seen Session 9. It came up in conversation recently, and I was asking my wife, "Hey, is this good?" And she's like, "Oh no, it's fun. You should totally watch it. It's a well-made movie." I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'll get around to it at some point on my long list of movies that are taking a back seat to me watching all the Tremors films and the show right now."
Yeah, it's a gut punch. It really lingers with you. So if you ever put it in your list and maybe get to it in 2025, whenever wherever your list is at.
It might be. I mean, there's plenty of stuff that jumps the line on my list, just depending on whether or not it's streaming currently. So.
Got it. Cool. Sorry I dragged you on that aside, but I just got really thinking about it. It was just a light, Jay, went off. I mean, because someone wrote that. This is Deep Blue Sea 3 is Wrong Turn 2. And I really grew to love Deep Blue Sea 2, but I don't think it's a solid, and I think the budgetary constraints, a lot of issues, it was too ambitious. But yeah, Deep Blue Sea 3, after talking to the director and Tanya Raymond, and I just love this movie because it did such good work on a budget. And I dig that about it. And I think this scene is a perfect example of it.
Oh, 100%. I was actually part of a thing last year when this movie came out on Twitter called Drink Blue Sea, where it was hosted by Megan Navarro and Matt Donato, and it was people could dress up in shark costumes and make shark foods, and they had all of these various criteria for winning for contest stuff. And we all watched the movie together and we're live tweeting about it, and various stars Emerson Brooks showed up for a hot sec, and he was tweeting "Oh yeah, this Eugene Shaw, he's my mom's favorite character." And the director was there for a bit, and I got to talk to him for a hot sec on Twitter about all of the cool things I appreciate about this movie.
John Pogue, friend of the show, we had him on twice.
Oh, that's tight. Yeah, no, he seems super duper nice from my interactions with him on Twitter. We ended up winning his director's bucket hat from the movie, as well as the star's script, which has a bunch of her own doodles in it. So we just have the copy of that.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's cool. I bet the doodles are cool. I was looking through her Instagram, and she's a legit artist. I like the stuff she draws. So I bet there's some cool doodles in there.
Oh yeah, it's very, I mean this in the most loving way possible. It's the kind of stuff that I remember seeing growing up on MySpace 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It's very that, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. And Emerson Brooks just shared us on Instagram as well, so that's cool.
Oh, yay.
Hey, Deep Blue Sea 3 rallying around us. That's cool. Yeah. But we would have promoted this movie without that love too, though, Jay. We weren't even thinking about moving on with this series until we watched this. And then we loved it. We're like, all right, let's do it. And I'm glad we did, because now